The world that we're in at the moment, we are leading with technology, but forgetting about the consumer. And, as such, if I would put this out to anybody on the call, which do you have a brand that you're loyal to? I can't think of one. Of all the providers that I have, I can't think of a brand that I'm loyal to. And that's because everybody's throwing technology at what they think is the problem, but nobody's actually correlating that back to what the customer needs or the consumer needs. So, for us, it's around how do we utilize all the data that we have today? Today we have more data points on customers or consumers than we've ever had before, but we're not using it in a way to benefit the consumer. We're focusing on self-service, we're focusing on chatbots, we're focusing on IVRs, but in all of that, the consumer kind of gets missed in all of in all of these strategies and all of these plans. So for Alvaria, it's very important that we pivot from reactive to proactive. So how are you able to meet a customer in critical points within their journey with the right message at the right time, rather than waiting for them to reach out or to to have to contact their provider, which is often a frustrating and drawn out process. So that's why it's critical for us is again, putting the customer, treating the customer or the consumer as an individual, and actually utilizing the data and all the data insights that we have to provide a personalized service, which builds that brand loyalty, which is critical in today's age.
It's really interesting because I think both of you are highlighting, it feels like we're at a time of real contrast in our industry, in as much as we've never had access to more data. We've never had this much access to more accessible technology, cutting edge technology. I think our industry should be proud that we are at the cutting edge of the use and deployment of AI, more so than a lot of other industries. But with all of this in place, we are still seeing consistently low customer satisfaction scores. Customers are still frustrated. And Mark, I think it was you that mentioned, customer expectations have changed. I think as service has improved, our patience has probably declined, and that we want things fast, we want things to be seamless, we want things to be effortless, but we are still not quite getting it right. And both of you mentioned some key points there. This kind of, it's not about just buying the tech and thinking it's a silver bullet. It's about identifying what are the problems that you're trying to solve, and can technology be the solution to that? And Bruce, your point around, surely now with all of the data that we have, we should be able to proactively contact customers and save them time and effort in utilizing whatever it is, the service or the product that they're engaging with us about.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, one of the common mistakes or gaps that we see with the customers that we work with is you've got all of the technology, it's often siloed, it's fragmented, so it's not a consistent, it's not a consistent experience across in the customer engagement. And that's often down to, our customers not defining that full, customer journey. So what does a journey look like for, a customer who's got a utilities contract or a car insurance contract? What are all the different elements within that customer journey, and how can we proactively reach out to the customers at the right time during that journey with the data points we have? And that's the gap, right? We often see that if you ask, well, what does the journey look like? What are the different engagement, what does that life cycle with that customer look like? And, there's very few, organizations out there who are able to give that kind of detail. And I think that's what you need to start with. And then, you then look at how does technology augment that or add value to that. And again, we've got all the data insights. We just got to use them at the right time. And that's the biggest gap that I see it, as a consumer myself. I know if I have to contact my energy provider, I need to book an hour out of my day, because trying to get through the IVR, trying to talk to the right person, and then getting transferred to someone else and explaining, everything all over again, it drives me crazy. And we live in a world where it's very easy for us to move, right? So you have one or two bad experiences with a provider, and you're going to move. And the industry stats bear that out. Is that 2.5 bad experiences with with a provider will motivate people. I think it's 90% of people will move based on on 2 negative experiences. So it's how do you remove that, remove the complexity, remove the frustration, and again, the best way to do that is by utilizing the right data to reach out to the customer when it's convenient to them, with a message that that actually adds value, so that they really feel like they're being treated as an individual.